Hey guys, Ycoms here and welcome back to League Racing, or better said, the start of the AOR Season 16 Championship here on the channel. Well, some of you know we've already had 4 rounds really in this championship, so season started about 6 weeks ago or something, so yeah, I'm quite far behind, apologies for that, but I've not really been able to catch up with these races with all the things that happened really. So far. Before we go though into the season, let's have some quick infos really. I mean, it's a 21 race season. I think it's the longest season AOR has ever had. Well, together with season 12 I think it was, where we also had 21 races. The grid here on the PC side is really competitive here again. I mean, on all platforms are crazy competitive this season. It's really cool to watch all the races so far. And yeah, I mean, we've got some Pro Series drivers, we've got some Pro Draft drivers from this year and last year, and even, you know, with very prominent names from the previous seasons missing, this is still going to be a very cool season, very tight, very hard to predict what's going to happen with the championships, etc. And as you can see, I'm driving the Red Bull this season together with Non-Runner as my teammate, as we are both driving for Comrade Gaming, which is also the team Evo on the Xbox side is driving for. So it's really cool to work with these two guys to improve as a team, and I hope we can achieve some really good results. For me, the goal really this season is to make last season, season 15, forget, and to close the gap really to the front runners if possible, and maybe score some podiums on the way. You know, that would be really nice, but really before the season started I just came in and yeah, just drive and see how it went really, because it's so hard to predict really at the start of the game what's going to happen. As you can see, really, we are here in round 2 already. Unfortunately, I couldn't record round 1 at Melbourne because yeah, I had some technical issues with my recording that night, and I just really couldn't solve it in time for the race. I finished P7 there. Non-runner didn't score any points. It was quite of an interesting start to the season. I completely bottled qualifying, started P16 and worked my way up into the points again. So yeah, P7 wasn't too bad. But let's have a look then here at round number 2 at Bahrain. So here we are then at the Bahrain International Circuit for my final run in this qualifying session. Currently sitting on a 26.1, which is definitely not what I was able to do. So a lot of pressure really here coming around the final corner to start this final run here on the qualifying lap. My PB actually before the session was a low 25.5. I was hoping to get somewhere near that. Going into turn 1 now, braking just as the after curve begins into first gear briefly, trying to hit the apex, a little bit off the apex there, but able still to carry good speed here through turn 2 and 3, and we're almost 2 tenths up already after these first couple of corners. Into turn 4 we go, just after 100 meter board down into 3rd gear, short shifting up into 4th gear again, maximize the traction once again, trying to open up this right-hander as much as possible, which we weren't really able to do, surprisingly really. And down into the next hairpin again, quickly into 1st gear, which then is something I won't be doing often in the race later on. Then into turn 9 and 10, which is not that difficult really on this game, as it has been in the previous ones, in my opinion anyway. And we had a little bit of a wiggle there on the exit, which wasn't quite ideal as we go into turn 11, braking on the curb into 4th gear, trying to be on early as possible on the throttle there, using all of the track there on the exit as well. Now coming into the last 2 corners. Probably my strongest sector here of the track, a little bit wide there on the exit, which definitely wasn't quite ideal. I had to go a little bit off the throttle there to not run even wider there. And into the final corner we go into 3rd gear, trying to fiddle around with the traction, a little bit of oversteer once again, definitely cost us again half a tenth or something, and we come across the line to finish this qualifying with a 25.617. Not terrible lap, but if you have watched my evaluation race from a few weeks ago, well, I did a better lap there than in the actual AOR session, but still it's P4 on the grid, which is so much better than Australia, where we started P16 obviously, and we can see David Tunisa on pole position ahead of Ross Woodford, which is really impressive from him, and Daniel Haddad, who won the first race of the season. So he is the previous winner here, and it's definitely going to be interesting what he can do in this second race. So let's have a look then what is going to happen in the race. Oh yeah, I should mention obviously non-runner, as you can see on the screen, also didn't qualify too bad in P7. Strategy for this race: one stop, super soft medium. The soft medium strategy is definitely the fastest one. There is no doubt about that, but I thought, like, if I qualify high, quite high up, I have the track position, etc., and then should be quite an evened out strategy, considering also that the super soft runners are quite far down. I think the highest one was Alvaro Carreton in P10 or 11 or something like that. Not quite sure anymore, but here we are then, towards the grid. Interesting ghosting going on there, as we are forming up towards for the second race here in AOR Season 16. You can see Gurks just behind me in 5th position, which is one of the two people I battled with so hard in this evaluation race, and obviously Ross Woodford in P number 2. So these two guys are definitely some people I am quite familiar with from this evaluation race. But here we are then, round number 2 of AOR Season 16 is almost on the way. 5 flights we've got here in Bahrain. And there's a jump start for the championship leader, Daniela Haddad. I completely caught me off guard. A terrible launch reaction from me there. Gurks just completely jumped me there off the start. I've got cars all over the place here on the left side, on the right side, trying to be in the middle there, pushing Gurks almost through the corner. And we've got, he's still got Photon there on the outside, which I didn't quite see. Non-runner has made up a position up on us, but I'm trying to go around the outside here of him to retake that position as soon as possible. Yes, we were able to do that, so we only lost 1 position after start, despite that terrible reaction we had due to completely being caught off guard there by Daniela Haddad's jump start. And you can see up the front, David Tunisa already pulling away there from the rest of the field. The Renaults are definitely a team which were definitely some question marks behind, because obviously new to this league. David Tunisa, I think, did the last few rounds in Season 15 already. He was in the Pro Draft, and they really delivered. Well, Daniel Haddad delivered here in the first round by winning, and David Tunisa didn't score any points, unfortunately. He's leading the race here for the moment. And now it's really, in this first stint, it's all about, really, on this game, to keep it in the slipstream of someone who's faster than you. This is probably the most ideal thing that can happen to you in order to have the better tires at the end of the race, at the end of the stint, I should say, rather. And there you go, there you see Daniela Haddad in the pits. A good start as well for non-runner as well, up into P5, so very good start for him. And now we are behind the man who we battled with so much in this evaluation race as well. And you can see Ross Woodford in 2nd place as well up there. So that's definitely it's going to be very interesting. So we're skipping on to lap 5 here. At the end of lap 5, you can see Alvaro Carreton, who started on the soft compound tires, has already caught up to us. He has had a crazy start. I think he gained like 2-3 positions on the start, and then overtook non-runner here in the process as well. You can see Gurks is now going past Ross here up the inside, easy peasy as you like. And we know from experience from the evaluation that Ross is not the best on his tires, and he's been leading that train obviously now for a few laps. So his tires are definitely not going to be in the best shape, and I'm not willing to sit behind here until I pit, or until Ross pits. So I'm definitely will try to stay as close as possible on this particular lap and see if I can make a move at the start of the next lap, with also obviously Alvaro not too far behind, really, because he's now probably the fastest on track, really. So that's definitely very an eye to, well, definitely need to keep an eye on him later on. He's definitely a favourite now to win this race as well. And up in front you can see David Tunisa is pulling away. 2 seconds I think is the gap roughly to Gurks. You can see Ross a little bit over the curb. That I think wasn't too ideal. Gurks is pulling away a little bit. So yeah, I'm definitely trying to be as close as possible here to Ross here in these last couple of corners to make a move into the final few corners. Tires are not too bad. Should be able to hang on to lap 8 as we plan to anyway, to make this one stop work. And there we go, a little bit of a slide there again for Ross, but Ross will have these, I think just about has got still the DRS of Gox here, and Alvaro is super close here, up the inside. We're going up the inside here of Ross with the, using so much of our ERS, very late on the brakes, almost hitting the back of Gox there, but Ross was very late on the brakes too, and he's been able to overtake, to re-overtake us here into turn number 3. Now it's Alvaro's turn here to make a move, potentially if we cut him off, going up the inside of Ross here again, very late on the brakes, and we've got the inside out, we've got the racing line, and that is us up into, well, P3 for the moment. And unfortunately, Alvaro has already overtaken Ross here as well, which is kind of unfortunate, but yeah, well, it was only a matter of time, really, of a few corners. Now it's all about trying to get back into the slipstream of Gox, but we're not quite into the DRS here. We're trying to use a little bit more ERS than we normally would, trying to get back into that DRS to potentially defend from Alvaro there on the next big straight, but I think it's a pretty much lost cause as we tapping the inside curb there. That's definitely not what you want to do on this track, especially not with worn tires. Luckily we didn't spin out entirely, but it gave us a warning as well for track limits, and it lost us a position here to Alvaro Carreton, and maybe 1.5 seconds or something. And at least we still got the DRS. Ross is going into the pits as expected, really. Non-runner not too far behind now again, still 65% on these tires. It's not terrible. And now it's all about trying to maximize this final lap here before we go into the pits. Second warning now, so we have to be careful about that as well. This could be quite costly, really, if we get a penalty towards the end of the race. End of lap 8. And you can see something interesting happen. 72% is not too bad. So, an interesting thing happened. David Tunisa completely dropped off with the tires. Ooh, very late on the brakes there into the pits. And Gox is was right behind him now. And we are only 1.2 seconds off Gox here, so that's not too bad. Let's see how the pit stop goes. Not brilliant. When we were held up there maybe about half a second or something. That's definitely not what I wanted. I'm not sure really why I was held there for just a tiny bit, but that might be a little bit costly here. We want to get straight back into the slipstream of Gox here. And let's see where there is Ross on the pitted 1 lap earlier, but remember now, these tires, these medium tires, they are like ice on this first lap. And Ross will definitely be very quick. Well, much quicker than me on this lap. So, and he was very good, obviously, initially in practice as well. So maybe we have some cheeky tactics here again, like last week. Oh, he's very late on brakes. He's tapped us in the back there, and I think that's damage for the Toro Rosso. And that's very unfortunate for Ross, who started on the front row. Something which is we don't see too much from him really in this league after he just got back promoted into F1, and he's weaving all over the place, obviously frustrated about what happened. Obviously I'm braking a little bit earlier than I would normally do because of these cold tires. I would just go straight off the track if I would brake on my normal braking points here on this first flying lap. That's very unfortunate. Teammate did his in the pits. Yeah, non-runner had to go another lap on these tires because we couldn't obviously double stack because he was so close behind me. That was definitely unfortunate. But he made it without a puncture. So that's the main thing. Here at the end of lap, well, starting lap 11, you see David Tunisa with a 1:30.0. That's 0.8 faster than my first flying lap here on these mediums. And I'm not sure really how he did that, to be honest. For me, these tires already need like 2 laps to warm up, and then I can start to, do the low 30s with the 29s, potentially really towards the end of the race, but not right off the back, which is really interesting. Also, our DRS is broken for some reason at the moment, but that's not really an issue as long as we don't get overtaken here by Ross. But Ross is obviously with the damage somehow still keeping up with us, so that's not too bad. There is someone coming out of the pits. That is Mustone White Lilac, who started on these soft tires, so he's nearly overcut us here. And tell you what, you know who overcut us as well? Well, not as well, but who overcut us quite massively. That's Alvaro Carreton. You could see the Williams up there, ahead of Gerks even, in 4th. That was absolutely crazy. Obviously, it's mainly due to the cold tires we had to suffer on the mediums there, but that's like 2.5 seconds or something, so that's quite a crazy overcut, and he's not too far behind David Tunisa. So this is very, very interesting for the race victory here. If Alvaro Carreton can get the victory here off David Tunisa here in the closing stages of the race. And for me, really, it was all about trying to A, close the gap to Gerks, and B, have a lookout really for the people who started on the soft tires, who are now catching up, obviously. One of them being obviously White Lilac. So if he goes for the move, I'm probably not going to defend too much, because he's on the better tires. He's probably going to be a little bit faster, and he can probably carry me a little bit better towards Gerks. But he's going for the inside here. He's way too late on the brakes, and that gives us again the position back. And yeah, a little bit unfortunate really. That didn't quite go to plan. Maybe he can overtake us next lap and then carry us towards Gerks. That's definitely the plan. Tires are not too bad, 35%. Should be able to get that to the end quite comfortably, and others will. I assume, based on what David Tunisa was doing on the previous stint, he's going to struggle as well on the final few laps on this medium stint. So that was like still like a hope that would get a little bit closer to the battle for the lead. And again, but I mean, it's like, they're like 5, 6, 7 seconds ahead, so that's not really an option to catch them, really, is it? In 11 laps, it's definitely not possible. And there we go. Then yeah, we lost quite a bit of time on this lap. I'm not sure why. It's 8/10 off our fastest lap of the race. It's definitely not been the greatest first half of this stint here on the mediums. Maybe also a little bit compromised into turn around because I wanted to brake a little bit earlier to give White Lilac the position. But here we go. He should be easily going past us now. We're not even going into overtake or hot lap here, and we are putting the ERS down. And White Lilac now up into 4th position. Yeah, at this point really I tried to play the long game, try to not get any penalties, try to stick behind these soft starters, and see what we can do at the end of the race, especially towards Gerks, I would say. That's definitely the aim. And we also have to watch out for this McLaren behind, which is Crow, who is the reigning F3 champion. And is super fast here in this race particularly as well. He's been catching all three of us here in quite some way, and he's doing like, I don't know what he's doing. He's doing 29.6, 29.7 or something like that. So that's ridiculous lap times from him. And now we can see lap 22. We can see exactly what I intended to do, what I wanted to do. You can see new fast lap 29.8. This is just the pace that White Lilac is doing, and I can do without doing too much. And there he goes for the move. For those White Lilac, there's contact between him and Gerks, and that almost collects us as well. And that gives us 2 free positions up into a podium position, and that's definitely the least kind of things that I expected really to happen. To get 2 free positions straight off the back here after that incident looked a little bit weird from my angle. Looked like White Lilac squeezed Gerks a little bit, then Gerks tried to open up the second corner, but White Lilac stuck to his line, didn't try to open up the corner, tried to squeeze him, and then they came together, crossing those lines, and then they both spun around. They're both, I think, going to continue without any damage, but still very unfortunate. And that also lost us, well, having to avoid that incident so closely. It also lost us time here, and now we've got the next soft runner behind, well, soft starter behind us in Crow, and he's probably gonna. And at this point, really, I was scared because he was so fast. I was scared that if he would overtake me, I would not be able to hang it with him in the DRS. So what I decided to do is like defend a little bit, like, you know, try to defend a little bit, see how aggressive he is. If he doesn't overtake me this lap, then maybe next lap. This is basically only the fight now for 3rd position, because the top 2 are too far away anyway. And here we go, we're going defensive, but Crow is so late on the brakes here, around the outside. Yeah, he's got the move done. There's nothing we can do. There's nothing we can do. It's just a sitting duck there on the apex. Incredible move there by Crow, up into 3rd position. So our tactic here to defend for a little bit longer didn't quite work. And now it's all about trying to stay with him. Good thing is though, we have got quite a bit of fuel left, so if we struggle with keeping up with him, we might be able to just use a little bit more fuel. And that's exactly what I did. You can see starting lap number 26. I'm in which oh no, it's just gone back to standard. But still, for this first flying lap at least, I was able to stay with the McLaren, which is definitely very crucial. And there we go. So it's only 4 laps to go, and you can see David Tunisia is still leading ahead of Alvaro Carreton. I mean, Alvaro pitted quite early for these mediums. His tires are only like 2 laps fresher than David's and mine. But Pro is pitted definitely later than that. I think he pitted lap 12 or something, 11, 12. So he's only like 4 laps fresher. So he's probably the quickest out of us top 4 at the moment. And this is definitely helping us so much here, as we are trying desperately to keep it with him. The tires are okay, 66%. It should be okay towards the end of the race, really. Still, and now it's really about trying to stay with Crow as long as possible into this race, as long as possible. Give it everything I've got. And so far this lap, we're still gonna have the DRS. We got a little bit off. Yeah, well, actually, we don't have much DRS at all, do we? But just a tiny bit, so we can use a little bit of overtake here on this main straight here as well. Getting up the DRS, closing up significantly here at the end of the straight again. 29.7 here in the slipstream of Crow. So definitely, I'm getting carried here at this point. Also probably catching the leaders at this point. 3 laps to go. Let's see what's going to happen towards the end. So we are now skipping on to the last lap of the race. 75% on the left rear. So hopefully we don't get a puncture. It should be fine, actually, to be honest. And we just dropped it. This is, I think, the first time we dropped out of the DRS from Crow. But still, we have been able to catch the leaders. You can see there, David Tunisia and Alvaro Carreton so close together. And remember, they were like 5-6 seconds up ahead. So, or 6 to 7 seconds even, I think it was the gap to Alvaro. So we've definitely been able, through Crow, we've been able to catch them a little bit. And Alvaro, I think, just overtook David there. So that's definitely a change for the lead on the final lap. Very interesting. And as it stands now, we have got P4 in the bag. I didn't hear of any penalties. I think, did I hear of any penalties? I don't think I heard of any penalties this race from any other driver. This race has been 4 weeks ago. I can't remember actually if I knew of any penalties from people up ahead, if the engineer told me at some point. But still, as it stands, we kind of come home in a very solid P4. After, you know, a little bit of a race in no man's land, and sometimes always a little bit behind the leaders. Capitalized a little bit on slipstreams, sometimes was a little bit too slow, etc. Alvaro Carreton taking the victory, question mark? No, he doesn't! We are getting promoted up into 2nd place, dude. Well, that means that Alvaro probably had 6 seconds worth of penalties. David Tunisia is gonna take the victory. 2nd win for the Renault team, incredibly, and we are going to get our first podium in AOR PCF1 since, hold on, China season 14. So a year ago, it has been a year since we scored our last podium in the PC League, and yeah, we just about done it here today through a very well executed strategy. Not the best pace, but very decent one. And yeah, just make the strategy work to perfection, really, for what I've been able to do with my pace, really, this race. And there we go. Second place, 3.4 seconds behind David Tunisa. And Alvaro Carreton is going to round out the podium. Unfortunate for him, he would have had this win without these 2 penalties. Slick in a very strong 4th. Crow, Gerks, non-runner 7th as well. So good points for the team, I would say. Especially for him. Good to see for him after he didn't score 80 points last time out. White Lilac, Jan Fela and Daniela Haddad rounding up the podium. So very, very interesting result, really. Unfortunately, I can't show you the standings after this race. I will definitely do that from Baku onwards. So I think after this race, I jumped up into 4th in the championship or something like that. But yeah, after the 4th round, I will have every single time also the standings included at the end of the race. But here you can see the lap times. That has been the race of Bahrain. It has been quite a long video, unfortunately, but it was, I think, a very, very exciting race, in my opinion. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you very, very soon for round 3 at China. Bye-bye.